So basically, we started off by we had put out a document. I don't know whether you had a look at that document. And I started putting links, and then I put links, and I put links, and I put so many links on it. So there are too many links out there for people to watch. So now the thing is that how do we bring it down to a level where someone someone has to maybe watch them and then put it into points of view, which is one part of it. But Ramsey was saying something which was important. So Ramsey, what were you?
Okay.
Yeah.
I always try to aim for simplicity as much as possible. And if I'm going to offend anyone, I try to offend everyone equally. So with those 2 points in mind, bearing in mind that what we refer to as the Israeli-Palestinian conflict has been going on since 1948, the longer it goes on for, the more layers it acquires. Each layer does not negate the previous layer, but each layer cannot be ignored either. And that's why I think just to say a conflict in some ways oversimplifies it. I just call it a mess. It is an awful, tragic, criminal mess. Criminal for it to have been allowed to go on for so long in the first place. Okay? And I would say criminal, to use a very heavy word, for every single member state of the United Nations that has allowed it to go on for so long in the first place. Some states have played a role in the situation. Some have played a role by keeping quiet. Either way, it should never got this bad for so long. And I hope that's something that is generally we can agree on.
Yep.
If we do agree on that, then allow me to take just one hypothetical example, of which I imagine there are many, to illustrate why justice or fairness is absolutely impossible to achieve in the resolution of this mess. And if we accept that justice and fairness is impossible, then we have to therefore define a different objective. Okay. The hypothetical example I'd like to illustrate is this. Imagine a Palestinian family is driven from their agricultural land, which they have inherited from generation upon generation. And this, let's say, happened in anytime between 1948 and now. It doesn't matter when. Let's say two or three generations ago. They're driven from their land. Their life was made unbearable, intolerable, impossible because of the behavior of settlements near to them, or because of the threat of armed violence. And as a result of being driven from their land, then what came into power or into effect was what's called the Absentee Landlord Act. It's a piece of Ottoman legislation, which is invoked by the Israeli state to then seize land where the owner has been absent from it for a period of time. Okay, that's one of the methods. There are other methods. And as a result, this piece of land then is acquired or sequestrated. It becomes Israeli state property by this particular Ottoman law. And then they build a settlement on it. And in this settlement now, let's say second generation, third generation, a young person is born into a family who's been living in that house, in that settlement, for 2 or 3 generations. And now, in the life of this, let's say 20-year-old settler youth, he finds that there is finally a peace solution between Israel and Palestine, or Israelis and Palestinians, and this settlement has to be dismantled. And he can't live there anymore. He said, I didn't take this land off the Palestinians. This was I was born here. It was my father's, my parents' home. And yet the other side of the coin will be, let's say, a third generation or fourth generation Palestinian who grew up in a refugee camp, either in Lebanon or in Syria or in Jordan or wherever. And he would say, if it weren't for my great-grandparents being forcibly driven from their land, I wouldn't have had this half-human subsistence existence in this horrid refugee camp. I would have been living, as is my ancestral right, as my great-grandparents did, on our agricultural land. Both statements are valid hypothetical statements.
But Ramsey, wait, I'll just have to interrupt you.
Sure.
This is a living room situation. So when someone comes in, we'll just say hi to them. So if
Of course, yeah, please.
auditors come in and Tinans come in, we'll just have to say hi. That's the format. This is not like one of those webinars. This is my living room. Only thing is happening online. That's all. So
Absolutely.
So hi Tina. Hi Audit.
Hi.
Yes. Audit also is going to unmute herself. She will at some point of time and say hi to us.
Thank you. Excuse me. Hello, everybody. Hello from Israel.
What we haven't
Hello,
done
Audit.
is, I think we haven't
Pleasure
done that.
being here.
Little introductions haven't happened. Little introductions should happen. I think, Ramsey, so we'll get back to what you were saying. Very important what you were saying, but let's do little short introductions so that at least people know who is Fatma. Fatma, please. It'll be in the order of what I can see on screen, because at the point of time you came in, it's in that order. So it'll go in that order. No preferences. Yes, Fatma.
Fatma, I'm from Egypt. And what else do you want me to say? I mean, I don't want to take too much time.
Take as much time, Fatma. Take as much time, whatever you're comfortable with. As much they can tell us about you, whatever it.
Okay. Oh, very good. So yeah, Fatma from Egypt. I am a mediator. I train in mediation. I also consult on different topics in legal reform, either justice sector reform or commercial or doing business in general. I am an artist, so I do a bit of painting, a bit of theater, and I write and I publish. So this is, and I do advocacy on the impact of child sexual abuse on adult women. So basically, this is a short introduction.
And I am a very structured person. I've put together a document. I'm trying to get people to give inputs, but people are not giving the inputs the way they are. They're just putting links there. They're not putting any headings to the topics. That's who I am.
Yeah, I'm a taskmaster too, and I don't want to like display that personality early on. I'm waiting for it to get enough credit with you.
Yes, Ramsey, please, a little bit about yourself.
With pleasure. Myself and Fatima clearly have a few things in common. I started life also in Egypt, and both Arabic and English are equally my mother tongues. And that was my start in life as an interpreter and translator. And that then made me realize that the main problem in communication is not necessarily the language in the sense of Arabic, English, French, but rather the main problem in communication quite often are the values, perspectives, priorities, the way that people are, I would say, programmed in some ways or accustomed to viewing the world. Some people say the lens through which they use the world, the way they frame the world. Same thing. That's what made me decide to really focus then on negotiation and develop my skills in negotiation and mediation. The reason I went into mediation is I realized that, in fact, negotiation, it can be just another form of war. If negotiation is an attempt to intimidate or otherwise coerce one side to do the will of the other side, which is not my way of doing things. And so I quite often found that I kind of naturally evolved a style in my negotiation to help the two parties arrange and present their points to each other in a way that's going to arrive at best possible understanding and trust building, which is rather kind of an orthodox approach to negotiation, but I would say healthier, but that's a point maybe for another day. A lot of my work has been in the Middle East. I worked for about 5 or 6 years with the International Committee of the Red Cross, served first for in Iraq, in Baghdad in particular, and then in Lebanon, and then in Syria, in Damascus mainly, and then in the West Bank, in fact. I was there for about 10 months. And then in the GCC, the Gulf states, so Kuwait, Bahrain, and so on. And then that brought me to COVID epidemic period. I came down with it myself, and I had already, bizarrely, timing, decided to book a year off work before I even got COVID. I decided to take a career break, catch up with some more training in negotiation rather than just interpreting all the time. And that's led me briefly to where I am now. So would you like me to continue what I was saying earlier? Because I was about to change.
No. We just give us little introductions. We just get Paula in and Tina and
Sure.
Oreth.
Yeah, of course. Yeah.
Yes, Paula.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I'm sitting in my very cold office this morning as a cold wave goes over the United States, and I miss my warm weather of Qatar winters. So I spent 6 years in Qatar teaching at Qatar University College of Law, and I was teaching skills courses there. And so, of course, unlike many people in the United States, I do have experience in the Arab world. And I recently created a LinkedIn group called Mediation for Professionals in the Arab World because there was no space for this. Nothing like this existed. And I was trying to figure out how to facilitate the growth of mediation in the region in light of new laws that have really come into existence very recently, 2019, 2021, in especially the Gulf region. And they're focused on commercial mediation, but there certainly has been a tradition of mediation in the family context as well. And so I am trying to support the growth and recognition of Arab mediators in that part of the world. And so that's what I'm doing these days. I'm hoping to launch an online mediation training program that'll be specifically oriented towards Arab culture and values as best I can. And I'm hoping that we can put together a book club and maybe talk about mediation books that would be of interest to people in that group. And I've also started working on a series of online lectures based on this book. And it's really helped me put an analytical frame around this Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And so anyway, I want to try and do some short lectures, and then I'll just post links to those once I get that organized. In the meantime, I've been reading, trying to educate myself. I started with this book by an Israeli journalist, and I am now reading this book by an Arab academic in the US who would take the beginning of the conflict back into, the 1800s or, the late 1900s. So anyway, that's what I'm doing these days.
Great. So that means now you'll give us a nice objective view because you're reading both sides, all sides. So yes, good. Yes, Tina, how are you?
I'm okay. I'm glad to be here. I'm always grateful to be in this space with everyone. Thank you so much. So I'm Tina Jones. I'm from the United States. I'm a conflict resolution practitioner, COVID survivor, and just my goal in life post-COVID is to do good work. And so I'm landed in this space. I'm very grateful to Vikram because it's important to do whatever you can, no matter how small, to make a little difference. And that's what I'm trying to do as I learn from these amazing practitioners who've been in the field. It's humbling to be here. I definitely hope we can start also adding a list of books, because I definitely am interested in learning as much as I see from both sides, try to see from both sides in humanity. I think the foundation of learning is really important, and I appreciate this background on how this conflict started, because I've been most fascinated, like when I think of an analytical framework, I want to go back from the very beginning, because you can't know where you're going until you know where you've been. And with that in here, I appreciate the humanity in this space, that all voices are equal.
Yeah.
That's all. Thank you.
Great. But your Facebook post about what you're going through was very serious, Tina. So are you all right now?
It was like being God-smacked. You know, that the reason why I posted it was to let people know that at any moment life can change. I walked into the hospital for a small procedure and I lost complete motor skills of my legs. I could not walk. And it was shocking, like real shocking. So I think understanding how fragile life is so important. So I appreciate that we're all here today to do our bit of whatever we can to try to build peace, because the world's in it's too much meanness and hatred and too much death, and no one's really talking to one another. And yeah, I'm appreciative, and thank you so much, Vikram.
No, I think what you said about life being so fragile, and then we have these conflicts. It's just little.
Yeah, these conflicts.
And then
Yeah, just like no one can see each other. I've been working on empathic listening. I thought it was a pretty good listener, but then I realized I needed some work. Empathy.
So we have to
And bringing dignity into the room. If you have empathy, if you're listening empathically, you don't have to agree. It's just the power of being heard that's really life-changing.
Exactly.
Thank
So
you so much for the space.
We have to get this whole humanistic approach to coming in. That's what the whole idea about this is, because obviously a lot of discussions on each of those aspects happen. But the humanistic part, which is what I started off, I think before we went live also, that let's just bring people who with their own experiences. So wherever, we don't know how many people we have from the 1948 situation, but I know Abe is there, who's a person who's grown up in a refugee camp, moving out from Haifa. So we have someone like that. So let's get actual people with these actual experiences, see the human side of it, what people go through, and then from every side. Every side. So Orith, from every side, from the Israeli perspective, also everyone. But the people, Orith, please, a little introduction about yourself.
Thank you.
This is the best language. Let's just keep ourselves muted. We'll just do lip reading, nothing else.
Well,
Orith, this is the ideal way to go about it.
I'm not working right now, so I forgot about the unmute. You see?
But this is a good language.
It's like being a pupil in the class. Less responsibility. Thank you, Vikram, for reminding me. Hello, everybody. It's a pleasure being here. I think that talking and listening, or listening and talking, is really, really important, especially these days. And it's an opportunity to meet people, for me, to meet people that enable me to see other perspectives. I will say a few words about myself. I was a commercial lawyer until 1999. Since then, I'm a full-time mediator. That's what I do. That's who I am. I really feel lucky and passionate about having the opportunity to mediate on a daily basis. And I really believe that this is how we can create a better world. Maybe it sounds big, but I really feel that at least to small scales, we are all doing small waves of optimism and of hope by mediating. I mediate mostly commercial and civil cases, but I have a practice in Haifa and a practice in Tel Aviv, and I do also international cases. And especially in my practice in Haifa, I have the opportunity and the pleasure and the challenge of mediating many of mediating Arab parties and Jewish parties, Muslim, Christians, Baha'i, Druze and Jews in the same mediation. The topic is officially commercial or civil, but it's always more challenging when there are many cultures and a few languages in the room. And for me, such mediations are always an opportunity to create a group of ambassadors to the notion that, yes, we can do things otherwise. We can create different dialogues. We can agree despite of having different backgrounds, and we can focus on common backgrounds. So these past 3 months have been very challenging. And I think it is very challenging way before, but especially in the last 3 months, it has been very challenging for me as a person, as a woman, as a peacemaker. It brings a lot of questions. These extreme times, but I think that keeping on the conversations is highly important, especially in such extreme times. So that's why I keep on joining. And one last sentence, I lecture a lot abroad, and I feel that my most important lecture is about the potential of mediating Arabs and Jews, because it makes people believe that it's possible. So as much as I enjoyed lecturing about other topics, when I talk about the multicultural dimension of mediation, I think this is what we want to focus on, because there is a multicultural dimension in each and every mediation that we mediate, not necessarily between Arabs and Jews, when the world today is very multicultural, and this is something that we should focus on. And thank you, Vikram. I spoke too much. Excuse me.
It's never too much.
Thank you
It's
for
never too
having
much,
us.
But if you want to know more about Orith, all you have to do is go to YouTube, search for always write Mediator Vikram first, then write her name. And there was a episode of In Conversation with the Beautiful Mind, which she was on. That's chat number 29. So you'll get to know much more about her. So please do that. That's the best way to search, I think. So Atman is going to speak in Arabic. Atman, but does everyone want to put their countries or whatever next to the name, cities, whatever they want to? But before that, Atman, just one sec. Frederick, I just want to say 2 people were on LinkedIn. I was asking them to come in. Denise, please join the Zoom session, because she was saying I'll put on my video, but she's watching it on LinkedIn. So Denise, I've sent you the link. And Frederick, I've also sent you the link. Please join us. Yes, Atman, how are you? Again, yes.
Hello, everyone. Hello, everyone.
In Arabic, we don't want to hear anything in English. Only Arabic.
Firstly, I want to tell hello for Orith.
Hello, my friend. You were covered. I couldn't see that it's you, but now I am very happy to see you.
I see you just when you start your intervention. I met Orith in a congress in France, and she has an intervention in mediation. It was very important.
Yes, and Orith and Atman were both part of.
We are friends.
Yeah,
we are friends.
Yes.
And both of you participated in the first symposium also, so you can watch. I mean, again, the same thing. But Atman, you must write your full name there so people can search you online and find your videos. You should do that.
My name is Atman Awi. I am the president of an association in Morocco. It's the Association of Promotion of Mediation in Morocco. And I am mediator. I work for a lot of case in natural resources, with the conflict between local population and the big company in exploitation of minerals and renewable energy. There are a lot of conflict in our area in the south of Morocco. There are they use the soil resource naturel, and this is the problem of water. And we participate in remaining the case of conflict here. The association work now for a project to build an experience of Morocco in mediation, using traditional mediation and an experience of that we have in workshop training with an institute in Switzerland. I hope I explain, Vikram, I hope I explain my experience in Morocco.
You have, and you're doing excellent work. And now we can go back to the topic, and Ramsey was saying something and we cut him off. I cut him off. Yes, Ramsey, now we go back. Look, little introductions are important so that at least people know where things are coming from.
Sure. Yeah. Thank you, Vikram. So I'll pick up where I left off. And if people joined after I spoke and want to challenge what I'm about to say, I welcome the challenge, and I'll happily explain why I'm about to say what I'm about to say. So where I left off was a very simplistic explanation of why we could say that after so much bloodshed and suffering over so long, the situation has got to a point where you cannot find any solution which everyone's going to accept as being just and fair. Just and fair, not unfair, but and fair. So if we accept that someone at some point going to say, well, whatever solution you're going to come up with, that's not just or that's not fair for X, Y, or Z reason, then clearly justice and fairness cannot be our sole objective, because we are guaranteed to fail. But we have to have an objective, otherwise we'll carry on going around forever in, who suffered more, who do you feel sorry for more, who you like more, etc. You'll never end. The alternative which I have chosen, just for my own professional practice, is, first of all, what are the requirements of law? And we have some legal practitioners here. And also, what are the rights, needs, responsibilities, and concerns, and each of those is slightly different from the other, of the inhabitants of the land, which comes under the name of either the State of Israel or the occupied Palestinian territories. So starting with the legal requirement, you have well-known Resolution 242, which requires careful reading because it's quite short. And people read into it what is not there, and people don't read into it what is there, I think. Quite simply, it says where the borders of the State of Israel should be. That is the most minimalist reading of 242. It says the State of Israel borders should be within 367. Now, the reason that that is unsatisfactory for just about everyone, by the way, is that people will say, well, hang on, what about people who were driven from their land before 67? The State of Israel gets to keep that land. So people would consider that unfair. It goes back again to what I was saying before. There is no guaranteed solution to this mess that's going to achieve justice and fairness for everyone. So if we're going to achieve legality and legitimacy, then we need to at least look at the legal process, because if we don't respect legal process, then, my friends, we are back into the law of the jungle and beating each other with whatever we can find. And that is no way to go.
So we have to be civilized. That's what you're saying. So we have to be civilized enough to. We'll also have. I think Frederick has joined us. We'll have to say hi to her. Yes.
Okay.
And we'll look. I know I'll interrupt you this way, but at least
it's okay. I'm used to it, Vikram. I'm used to it.
No. Don't want to do it. But of course, she's called herself iPhone, so we'll call her iPhone. Frederick, you want to introduce yourself? You want to just say hi to us and tell us a little bit about yourself? Can you? Yep.
Oh, hi. I didn't hear you say Denise.
Denise, yes. Oh, I said Frederick.
Oh, hi.
Okay, I said Denise. Denise, sorry.
Okay. Thank you so much. I'm at the airport, so I wasn't sure if I'd be able to log in with Zoom, but I'm so glad that I was able to use the internet. Good morning, everybody. Good evening, wherever you are in the world. So nice to see some familiar faces again. So encouraged by what I hear, the wealth of experience and perspective and compassion coming out of today's circle. I'm a mediator and a facilitator, learning more about trauma response mediation. And I think that there's an up and coming solution that's on a lot of people's mouths and minds right now. And that is using mediation as a tool to de-escalate and resolve conflicts. And there are no conflicts that are too big or too small that would be immune to this tool. And I am happy to be learning from experts that are far more gifted than I am. But I feel like at a minimum, we can start conversations and we can learn from one another. And I think what I'm hearing is mediation / negotiation, and that's what it's going to take. Actually, on my way to Israel, believe it or not, my family is there, and they're begging me to come. It doesn't feel like the right time to be traveling, but I'm doing it anyway. And I might reach out to some of the folks there that are in the area. Would like to just be a part of continued conversations and see where I could be helpful. But then here, just happy to be a part of this circle. Thank you, Vikram, for lending yourself to this conflict. And
Great. No,
thank you
for joining us. I keep interrupting Ramsey. That's the only issue, and what he's putting across is very important. But at the same time, I say what you also have to put across is who are the people we have to bring in. So if we have to bring in some expert on what the resolutions, or if you have read them and you want to take us through that. So at every point of time, we also have to list, and Fatma is very good at this. She lists out all the people that we have to bring in at every stage. So one is someone who's an expert on this, on the UN resolutions and what all has happened there. Then in terms of what was, well, I said again, 1948, people from there, that time. So it's a humanistic approach. We have to get that human touch, which is from actual stories. So everyone, please, if you can identify who all we have to bring in, keep pointing it out. And I'm sure all of you are connected with Fatma. She's the one who's putting it all together. Yes, Fatma, you're putting it all together. So please send her inputs. That document, no one is contributing to except me, it seems. Please, inputs required. Yes, Ramsey. So one is United Nations resolutions. We have to find, because I'll tell you what happens is generally all these discussions happen, and finally mediators start talking about solutions, and then it just goes into a discussion of this, not that, and then things don't get anywhere. I felt that as mediators, let's try and bring in people rather than us telling people what solutions can be. So that I think should be our aim. And that is why I had started from the first, I think, meeting itself, that what are the different points of views that we need to cover. And if each of us can connect with the right people, the next gathering, we bring those people in. So that should be everyone's little homework, I would say. So that is, I think that we should start with each of those points, and everyone can give their different points.
I have an outline. I have an outline in mind, which I think will help to go forward.
Yeah.
First of all, I would suggest, with great respect to people's choice of reading and how far back in history they go, there is a turning point in time, which is the establishment of the United Nations. And what that means is that therefore member states of the UN are then obligated by its resolutions. If you like, they're the rules of the club. If you're going to be a member of the club, you have to abide by the rules or make a legal appeal. It's that simple. And it is indeed believing in legal process that saves us from absolute slaughter and chaos. I would suggest that the slaughter and chaos we are seeing now is the failure of sticking to legal process. Quite frankly.
Failure of the United Nations in general. Let's look at it that way. Like, we should also discuss that, whether there is a failure
Well, no,
there.
you see, the United Nations doesn't exist. The United Nations is just a conference room. Okay? It's quite often people blame the United Nations as some kind of body that hasn't done their job properly. The United Nations is just a conference room, and there are member states, countries, which have a membership of that conference room. That's all it is.
And and a few 5 bouncers roaming around who can bully everyone.
Sure.
So, yeah, maybe
Yeah,
that
absolutely.
also we need to look at. So I think the structure itself, it's flawed. Maybe it was all right at that time. Maybe it just is not right for that. So also we have to discuss that. So what I'm trying to say is that this is an important aspect that we have to discuss. Whether it's a defunct organization and what it's doing is just someone's agenda and that vested interests on that side. So is there a new world order that has to come up? Look, we are open. We can discuss anything. I mean, it's not that we are bound by this whole structure that we have been given because it hasn't worked. It's not working. It seems that some people, of course, these things are happening every part of the world. So in general, I don't think it's a community the way it was maybe supposed to be. Everyone starts off with this nice way that let's put a community together and we'll do all that. But then things change. So are we ready for that change? That it's an important aspect that we need to discuss. Let's be open. We'll not take it for granted. Okay, this is what the United Nations has said, and then this is it, and let's take it forward.
No.
Yeah.
Just 1 second. This is, let me say again, the United Nations is not a separate body. It is simply a forum for the countries of the world, which are called the member states of the UN, to vote on a particular course of action. And in some cases, they're blocked by one of the P5 who have a veto. But so I would advise or recommend that we don't think of the UN as a separate defunct body. It's simply a conference room where the member states, which are the countries of the world pretty much, have not made the best use of that conference room to keep things calm and peaceful. And if that is the case, if the failure is largely related to the way that member states of the UN, which are the countries of the world, have behaved or have failed to behave, then you are quite likely going to have similar problems in whatever way you deal with collective decision-making. The second thing I want to mention is that, and allow me to continue this point briefly now, Vikram, if you don't mind.
Yeah, please.
Is that I think we can probably, from a humanistic point of view, realize that the amount of sheer waste of human life that has been going on, and in this latest bout, of course, but it didn't start on 7th of October, as we all know. But I think we've all been once again sickened to our stomach with this latest bout. We probably can't afford the luxury of reforming the UN. And quite frankly, maybe I'm cynical, but I suspect that whatever replaces the UN is going to have the same kind of problems, so long as countries of the world continue to behave in the way they have been doing. I think that there's such an urgency, just from a humanistic point of view, to bring about a resolution of the situation that we're going to say, okay, now member states of the UN, while being member states, have had these resolutions issued. 242 goes back to 1967. There was plenty of time to mount a legal challenge. The process for that is the International Court of Justice. So plenty of time to, if there's something legally wrong with it, for that to have been actually legally challenged. So my perspective would be, first of all, when people are reading and seeing how far back, obviously they're not going to go back to Adam and Eve, but I mean, the temptation is almost there. I would say that a starting point would be what are the legal obligations on member states of the UN as a result of UN Security Council resolutions? And how could they be implemented just in the name of upholding a legal system? Not because I'm particularly like the resolutions, but it's got to such a state where none of those resolutions can be entirely right. You know, even 242 is not entirely right. It's saying, okay, Israel can keep what it acquired by force before 67. And not everyone likes that either, which I understand. It's a case of really looking at a larger issue beyond the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, which is to uphold the principle of using legal process to resolve conflicts rather than slaughter. Because otherwise we are really doomed to extinction, and we deserve to be doomed to extinction as a race if we allow to give way to slaughter rather than legal process. So it's really for maintaining the species, quite frankly.
Yeah.
But then bearing that in mind, and I'll close at this point, that if we were to apply, I don't mean we as enforcing, but if the decision was saying, okay, the only thing we can agree on, even though nobody likes it, is that 242 says where the borders of Israel need to be, then how can we do that in a way that really takes into consideration all the rights including right to shelter, water, education, health, you know, all the basic human rights of all inhabitants of the territories, i.e. the land of Israel and the land of the state of Palestine as will be set up. You can't ignore any of the rights of anybody. And the responsibility at the same time. The responsibility of each person will be to abide by the law, the legal framework that applies to the land in which they live. So they can't carry on intimidating their neighbor with a shotgun or scaring them off or cutting them off from their land or whatever. So it's really, and then once you've got that stabilized.
Excuse me, I hate to interrupt, but I want to ask a question at this juncture.
There is a
Why do you think?
Go on.
Why do you think this hasn't happened yet? So what's the roadblock that's preventing this acceptance of this legal statute as a starting point?
That's an extremely good question, Denise, and that goes back to what I referred to very briefly as the way of different member states of the UN have been behaving or not behaving over the decades. Allow me to just end on this point, if I may, Denise, and then I'll leave the floor open to exchange of opinion.
Orith has to come in. She's got a hand up for quite some time. We'll have to get her in. Yeah.
And I'll end now on this point. Once we have the stabilization of the situation by compliance with the legal requirements, then there'll be a flood, an absolute avalanche of investment, really supporting the prosperity of the societies and communities, both within the redrawn borders of the state of Israel and the newly drawn borders of the state of Palestine. And that is where you then really meet the human needs of the residents. And I'll end there. Thank you for your patience.
Yeah. No, I think this is where I was saying that we're not going in this direction as to what should be the solution. The point that you picked up about the international law and whether there should be compliance. I think that's a discussion we need to have, that what is the structure? Why is it not working? As Denise wanted to know what really. So that is, for me, the topic. Actually, what should happen, one state, two state, all those are things that will keep coming up in the discussion. So I'm saying, I'm trying to go, not going into solutions, but into what all we need to bring out and who all we need to bring into the conversation. And right now we have to bring Orith into the conversation. Yes, Orith.
Yeah. Thanks. It's always interesting to listen to different perspectives. So thank you, Ramsey, for what you just said. I want to start from addressing the process of what we are doing here today. And I want to offer to regard it as if it's a mediation process between, just as a how we manage the process. And of course, it's very important to understand who are the parties. And just to comment about what you just offered, to have the UN as a platform. Well, there are so many platforms that can be used, but some of the, before finding the platform, I think that we have to address the issue of who are the parties, and some of the parties are not member states and are not part of the UN, officially or unofficially. So we have to be aware of that as well, and are not obliged to the same standards asked by the UN and enforced by, or should be enforced by the UN. So first of all, we should see who are the parties. And each party should have a voice and a choice, like in a mediation, in every mediation.
It is important what you're saying. So what you're going to keep putting out, who should be the parties? Fatma is noting all that down. Who are the parties?
Pardon?
Who should be the parties? Please keep mentioning the actual names, and Fatma is going to put it up, and all the list is going to come to all of us to find people from there to come into the conversation. So please, who all should be the parties?
Well,
everyone's going to give their inputs on this.
Please let me talk about the process, because I think the process is very important in order to find the right parties. So assuming that we identify the right parties, we should aim at allowing each and every party, like in mediation, to have a voice and a choice. And then, or during the process, we want to start mapping the problem. And the problem, I agree with Ramsey, has some legal aspects. But I think that, like in every other mediation, the legal aspect is just only one, sometimes tiny aspect, sometimes major aspect, but it's only one aspect out of many other layers from which the conflict was built. And especially speaking about the Israeli-Palestinian conflict, I don't think it's only legal. Maybe it's covered by legal issues, but there are so many other layers that should be addressed whilst having the conversation, because otherwise it will be like going to court. Okay, some party wins, but at the end of the day, there is an appeal, there is another appeal, or there is another conflict. We don't want that. We want all the layers of the conflict, or at least most of them, to be addressed, or at least to be acknowledged, in order to have a chance to find a solution that, of course, should be wrapped in legal manner, but it's not about the legal only, as far as I see it. Now, about how to handle the process. We need to have rules about how to handle the process. And for the sake of this discussion, I want to raise the question of confidentiality and of having a safe platform for talking. And I will speak personally. When I know that the thing is being broadcast in the YouTube and I don't know where else, I am thinking, well, it's not an intimate group. It's a group that I don't even have a clue who is listening to that. Everything I said until now, I am happy for the whole world to hear. But if we want to get to an intimate level of discussion and to have a full discussion, I believe that the platform should be, we should think about a more intimate, and like in mediation, we are mediators. We know how to create safer environments. For me, an environment that is public is not a safe one for my clients. And therefore, I think that before thinking who to invite to this group, we should think about the platform.
I'll tell you. I'll answer that. Yeah, answer that. Because I know this is something that we have to balance it out. One, all these objective views that everyone is giving, because these are all of us, all of you, me, everyone included, is going to be objective about the thing, and they'll give all kinds of viewpoints. They're not pushing their agenda. So it should go out on YouTube so that other people also look at it as a space where everyone can talk about it without vested interest coming in. So it has to happen there. But on the other end, we'll have the gatherings where they are not going to be recorded, and they will not go on YouTube once we keep getting people, because it has to grow. When right now, to identify the people who should be part of it, who are the parties, as we're calling them, I call them participants. So who are the participants in that conversation up till it doesn't go out, and we keep getting other people's inputs as to who all should be part of it. This will grow. It'll grow on both ends. It's not going to be this is the platform and this is where it's happening. It's going to happen otherwise also. And there'll be, I don't know how many people can reach out to how many people and who all we can bring in, because sometimes it's important to be on YouTube so that those voices which are not heard can also be heard. And some of them, we don't know what interesting voices will come. We don't know. I don't know. I mean, I am keeping it totally open. And then after that, of course, the process and everything that has to be looked at. But I wanted to get Dennis in because she's at the airport and I don't know whether she has to take a flight right now. Dennis, you want to come in? Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you. I agree with what everybody's saying. There's intricacies and delicacies and complexities and all of the above. I just wonder if maybe a better question as to who are you? I think why are you here is, there's no one size fits all. Some might be interested in that legal perspective. Some might want to dwell in the emotion. Some might be just like looking for the resolution. But why are you here? What's your skin in the game? And to get groups that kind of can appeal to each other. Because there might be some conflict driven groups. There might be some that are more focused on the technicalities. But I think just wherever people are, we should meet them and engage in that dialogue, because only from there can we move the needle and go upward. But not to be narrow. We're going to talk about the UN. We're going to talk about the legal stature. We're going to talk about, the land grant. It's going to leave people out. So just to make it inclusive for everybody,
I agree.
Why are you here is a good opening question.
Yeah.
And I think I'm going to lose my internet, but I'm enjoying everybody's words so much. Thank you.
Yeah, and then we have to get people on the ground. Anyone who can actually pull a trigger, that person also. Why did you pull the trigger? What goes on in your mind? All that will also come in. So as we go along, let's try and see whom we can bring in from every side. But I'm saying, yes, we'll get Orith. You have to get Orith in. I kind of cut her off, but rather you are going to come back. Or Ramsey just wants to make a point and be coming back to what you were saying.
Just for clarification, that's all, because I feel that part of what I said got more prominence than other parts of what I said. So I'll just repeat one sentence of what I said only, which is taking into consideration and full account the rights, responsibilities, needs, and concerns. Not just Resolution 242. I feel some listener just latched onto that part and forgot everything else I said. I don't know why. So whatever way this conflict is resolved or this mess is sorted out, that it will need to be done in such a way, and God knows what way that's going to be, I have no idea, that will take into consideration the rights, needs, responsibilities, and concerns of everyone living in the areas of land which are now currently called the State of Israel or the occupied Palestinian territories. So I was not just talking about a rigid legalistic implementation of 242. I was saying much more than that, and I'll end there. Thank you.
But look, where I'm taking this is that if these conversations that we are having lead to conversations within groups, right? I'm saying at the grassroots level, whatever that grassroots means, grassroots is everyone out there. So if those conversations happen in groups everywhere, people can at least bring in all points of view at the local level, national level, global level. And then finally, if things can change on the ground, which can actually lead to even the way people look at it from the political aspect of it and whom they bring out as their leaders, what their thought process should be, that can be the long-term thing from it. So we're not stuck by, well, this is a long-term thing, it's not a short-term kind of a thing, it's going to take its time. So can we change the way people even interact with each other on the ground and how the different points of view can be discussed by them, and then some consensus is built, and that consensus at the local level, national level, or maybe at the global level at some point can happen. So that's the future of it. Yes, Fatma.
So you brought last time the question of the local level, and I keep thinking of it. To be honest, I don't see it happening. So this conflict is super emotional. So I don't see myself doing anything in Egypt at all about it, and I suspect it's the same in Israel and many other Arab countries and many other countries that have taken sides in the conflict. So I would say, I would look at it, and I agree with Orit and Denise in the sense of what are we bringing to the table and what do we want to achieve. So I would say, what can I bring as Fatma to the table? Because like I said last time, I'm not interested in history. I am a lawyer by training. I practice as a lawyer. I have zero interest in the law when it comes to that particular conflict. So for me, also, it's an important component, but it bears no interest to me. And then what do I want to do with my time when I attend a gathering like this? So my personal objective is to see if among us, we're all mediators. We have we all aspire to be better human beings. I don't even want to say better, because that's a judgment about others who don't want to be mediators or don't like the idea of it. But we have certain aspirations, and we are all personally entrenched in the conflict in one way or another. So I think if we can, among ourselves, emulate some kind of a discussion, whether we invite people in who can say their side of the story, as you've been suggesting, which I think would be very helpful if we get people from themselves up to that kind of debate, which actually also begs the question of openness and confidentiality. On the one hand, if we can do something, even if it's not ideal, but if we can broadcast honest, genuine, open discussion about it and allow ourselves to be in error, I think that for me, this is what I can offer the world in the limits of what I can do, also in the limits of the trauma, because I'm also interested in trauma-informed interventions, which is an interest of Denise. So I think these are things I personally can come with, and I think they can make a difference. But to establish a circle in Egypt, I tell you, definitely would be a lost cause.
Okay, so this is a good question that Denise has put out. We will ask everyone, why are you here? That is going to be the first question. Everyone has to answer. So Orith is going to answer that first. Orith, why are you here?
I am here because I think that we don't have the privilege of not listening to each other these days, especially these days. And I think that as peacemakers, we are obliged to make an effort, big effort, in walking the talk, because it's easy when we sit at the third party and suggest the parties to have a nice process. But personally, now, well, you regard me as a side, and I'm also involved being an Israeli, but I ask myself to be able to have a higher level of conversation, and by asking myself to have a higher level of conversation, not being focused just on one perspective, I hope that this is the kind of discussion that can broaden my mind and that can maybe start a different dialogue. And I can say that from the first circle I participated in, I gained a new friend who, just because this is not an intimate group, I don't want to say, to elaborate, out of respect, not to my privacy, but also to his privacy. But I gained a friend from whom I learn, and I think it's mutual, and I broaden my perspective. I don't think this is the platform that from here we will bring the final peace agreement, but we can have voices, sane voices, and an example of good dialogues. So that's why I'm here. And that's why I spread the news of mediation for so many years to whoever is willing to listen and share my perspective mediating Arabs and Jews, because I think that we can do better. And for me, it was very challenging to enter the first circle, because it was even frightening to me, because I was, ooh, what is going to happen here? Is it going to be a pleasant place? But I did. And Vikram, you don't know that, but my heart was beating. I heard my heart beating when I used the first one. It felt like 50 centimeters out of my body. I was really tensed, but I thought that this is not the time for us to be not present or cowards or not demand from ourselves what we ask from the parties. And I joined, and I'm glad that I joined. I gained one friend, and I hope to elaborate their circles.
Good. So at least you made a friend. At least that one aspect of it is a good aspect, that if it goes out and other people come in, you make more friends. So public is also required, so that more public comes in. But then we make, look, you are having private conversations with the person, aren't you? So those private conversations will happen between two of you, and in those private conversations, you'll add two more people each. So that circle will, that's another circle which you will create at the local level. It could be a Haifa, Israel-Palestine mediation circle. So I'm saying every local level, there will be conversations which have to happen, and everyone has to create those circles there at the local level and have those conversations, and then be part of the larger circle. So it's not that this is just a space for us to put out there that yes, conversations can happen. You don't have to be stuck or be scared of having conversations. So that's what, it's just a starting point. But now Paula is going to tell us. Paula, why are you here?
Can I just add another sentence? Can I just add another sentence
please.
About this point? I believe that it's not only about meeting, it's about discussions, the quality of discussions that we have. This is about mediation process, and this is about this platform. And I really salute you for enabling this platform. And I want to suggest that at least part of the discussions will not be broadcast.
Absolutely.
Because then the level of the talks conversations will be completely different. I know that we can all record whatever is happening. We all have telephones and we can do magics and it won't be intimate, but still it doesn't even feel intimate. Not to say that I don't understand the importance of you opening it widely. So I suggest combination between the two.
Absolutely.
Some open and some.
That's what I said. Or didn't I say that? I said that.
You are amazing.
I said
I
that.
really
So that's what
salute you
happened.
for that, and thank you for that.
But at the same time, when we do those private sessions also, the gist of it has to be put in words and put out there. That this is the gender thing happens. So who's going to do that? Look, right now we have Fatma, who is very good at that. When we need, in those whatever conversations that you have at a local level, at least put it out that this happened. No names have to be given, nothing has to be given, but at least people should know that such a conversation can take place between who those individuals are by name, don't have to be mentioned, but where they came from, what their background was, and they did put this across. So that also needs to happen at the same time. So we'll have those private sessions. Definitely we'll have that. We'll do that. But this is just the starting point, or if we just started off. This is just I think this is the third gathering, I think. Yes, Paula, why are you here? A good question. Dennis was nice. Thank you, Dennis, for that question.
Hi. Well, thank you, everyone, for showing any interest in why I'm here. My interest in the Arab world goes back to the oil embargo in the United States in the mid-70s. And at the time I was working as a gas station attendant, probably one of the few female gas station attendants in the United States. And I've always been interested in petroleum policy as a result of that. And it was one of the things that drew me to Qatar, because Qatar has the third largest natural gas reserve in the world. And you know, this is something I'm focusing on with the Houthi attacks in the Red Sea, because so much of the world petroleum, especially anything intended for Europe, is going up through the Suez Canal. So anyway, I have been practicing and teaching mediation for over 20 years now. And when I was in Qatar, I was there during the blockade, where neighboring countries, including Saudi Arabia, UAE, Bahrain, Egypt, and some other countries, imposed what was really an economic sanctions, but which we called a blockade. And I was the first person to do any publication on this. And I wrote 5 book chapters applying conflict resolution theory to the dispute. And I walked away from that project having a deep respect for Qatar, because they were very good about avoiding escalation of that dispute. And they have positioned themselves as a regional mediator. And have had some successes over time in that role. And so there's actually a lot of capacity at the highest level of government, including my former dean, in terms of doing these international regional negotiations. And so part of my interest in this is tracking what Qatar is trying to do, and how tricky that is when they have definitely provided a lot of support to Hamas. As I understand it, it's all been funneled through the Israeli government, which I think in retrospect preserves some, traditional notions of neutrality for Qatar. But I've noticed recently that Egypt is stepping in, so who knows what's going on there. But at any rate, I have always been interested in conflicts in that part of the world. And I am particularly interested now in solving these intractable international conflicts and better understanding how they're created, why they're sustained, and what are possible interventions. And so one of the books I'm waiting on is a track 3 negotiation book that was mentioned by Michael Lang in one of our earlier circles. I'm really curious about that. So I think I come at this as an educator. What can I do to try and help people understand what's going on, especially in the US, where a lot of there's a lot of stereotyping of Arabs in the US. There's a certain frame that comes with the major newspapers. I guess one of the other reasons I'm interested in this is I grew up in a Jewish neighborhood. And so I'm watching my feed with these 2 very different narratives coming across. One that I have from my Qatari friends and the one that I have from my high school friends. So that's really why I'm here, I guess.
Great. But I'll ask everyone else that question, but I'm just wanting to put on that tomorrow we have that anniversary celebration of the YouTube channel at 8:30 p.m. India time. So please join, same Zoom link, and everyone else who's listening to it. If you don't have the Zoom link, just write to me. I haven't been putting out social media posts to tell people. I haven't sent out invitations. So anyone listens to this, please tell me if they want to join in. And day after, we have the launch of the Greece Mediation Circle. Let me just put it up there. I think that's what.
Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
Yeah.
I just add one more thing.
Yeah.
Oren, I agree that we need to create some safe space, because a lot of the people that might participate from the Arab world are often living under situations where there really is not any free speech. There's potential penalties. I noticed there was a Israeli journalist that was just jailed. So I think that's what I saw. At any rate,
Oh,
so
he's a soccer player.
Oh, soccer player. Oh,
yeah,
well,
from Turkey.
okay.
Yeah,
Oh,
but
okay. Yeah.
he was released by now.
Okay. So I'm sensitive to the situation there, and I know how much self-censoring I did when I was in Qatar. So, my idea was to, take our list, get that thing organized by topic potentially. I'm happy to work on that project. And then create some working groups. And those could be private conversations in which the conversation is not recorded at all, but there could be a report back to the whole that would frame things in a way that people would be comfortable reporting as a whole, especially where there's no particular author for the report. And, because I live in the US where presumably I have a lot of free speech rights, I don't mind being a reporter on a lot of those things to the extent that my voice means anything.
Everyone's voice means everything. I don't know why people think that everyone's voice is important and each of them gets added up. But we have to first of all get Frederic in. Frederic, am I pronouncing it properly? Am I pronouncing your name properly? Frederic, if you unmute yourself, we'll get to know what you're saying. Otherwise, we're okay with lip reading. That's the new language. That's going to be the language of the circle.
No, I'm here. Yes, thank you. Yes, you did pronounce it very well. Frederic is my name, and I'm listening to this interesting conversation from the Netherlands in Amsterdam. I'm a mediator, but I do mostly pre-mediation for startups. So, but I was triggered by the fact I thought, oh, mediators are going to talk about the conflict. I'm really interested in your opinion. So I'm listening, actually. I don't have anything to add until now. That's it.
And mediators not discussing what mediators are putting together is the larger framework, who has to be brought in, how the person has to be brought in, or the people have to be brought in, or if it's going to design the process as we go along.
Yes. Yeah, I mean, talking, that is probably the language barrier. I'm not talking about a discussion as in opposite opinions, but more like you're talking about it. Yeah.
So, and you have to participate in it. Every input is required. Everyone has something which they can add to it. So don't even worry about it, please. What we are discussing right now and how much of it has to go onto YouTube and how much of it has to be done privately, which is going to happen. Right now, we're just trying to expand the circle and who has to be brought into the private ones also, because we have to be very careful who comes in. We have to be very careful because we don't want agendas to be pushed. We want a fair idea of what's happening, what people's thoughts are, and the human approach to it. Get people with the stories. Let's get actual stories. Let's not read something on social media and make a decision on how things have to happen. But let's just get people in. Let's just have people talking about their experiences also. That's going to happen. But Fatma, why are you here?
Why I'm here is I actually would like to be an agent of change if I can. But honestly, so far, with the framework and with everything, this is not where, I mean, I'm good at organizing things and putting frameworks. That's something I do very easy. But is it what I really want to do? To be honest, not really. I mean, for example, I would say something which I find quite interesting. I was recently in West Bank for work, and it's for me as Egyptian, or at least me, I don't want to generalize. I mean, that's something that maybe I would want to discuss today on the use of language. Is it Arab and Jews or Arab and Israel? I mean, for me, that's a big difference. For example, that's something maybe I would like to discuss openly about the use of terminology, because I think it also frames our mind. Because I have absolutely, I mean, like as a person growing up, I recognize all religions. I don't care about anybody's religion. So I would also, and also the idea of putting Arab and Jews, it's as if there are no Arab Jews. There are. I mean, like with the political situation, things changed and went in a particular direction, which is quite sad in my opinion in the Arab world. But the Arabs are not only Muslims, and the Muslims are not only one type of Islam. So there are so many, and it's, for me, I wouldn't want to put a race. And ultimately, actually, if we talk about Jews, Arabs, we're the same race, we're the same Semite race, ultimately speaking. So for me, it doesn't really make sense when we put it this way. I mean, my opinion and my idea. So that's something that I would find interesting to talk about and create a framework about. One of the things I would want to, not easy to talk about, I think, can bring lots of emotions. Why not? We may not reach an agreement. Again, not a problem, but if we can discuss it here in the most mediation-like way, I think that would be my contribution.
Well, it's really important. I think this aspect, and that is why this is one aspect that needs to go out publicly, so that a lot of clarifications can happen, a lot of things which people maybe have not even read somewhere or heard about, because only a certain aspect is what gets to them, and which is also what that social media algorithm is all about. You start on one side of it, and that's the only side you keep getting. So that's why I think it's important for these kind of things to come up. Good. I think that's right. But I think the one person we have to ask, of course, Ramsey. Ramsey, why are you here?
Okay. So I'm going to start, if I may, Fatma, with what Fatma just said a moment ago about terminology and naming, because that is my profession as an interpreter, and therefore indeed paying very careful attention to the use of words and the effect those words have. As an interpreter in many different meetings, I have seen this topic discussed either from a point that is purely legalistic and ignoring the humanistic side, or from a purely humanistic side and ignoring the legalistic. And quite often in a context where one side or the other is the main focus of discussion. I cannot recall ever being in a discussion where the focus is on solving the mess rather than achieving the rights of one side or protecting the other side or whatever. So the reason I'm here is that this particular gathering offers a rare, I don't want to say unique so as not to offend anyone, but certainly a rare opportunity of looking at a chance of somehow resolving the mess rather than achieving one side's right or protecting another side or whatever. And going back to what was mentioned a little earlier today in terms of why hadn't this been done earlier, it's partly, I would say, indeed, because of there not being a holistic, multifaceted look at the mess. So I'm here out of perhaps a naive, misplaced sense of optimism that this might offer the chance that other forums have not offered, because it is not here to champion the rights of one group or protect another group or whatever, and is not dismissing either the humanistic side or the legalistic side. And so hopefully we might actually get a sensible, level-headed, balanced, multifaceted appraisal of the whole mess. So out of hope, curiosity, maybe a bit of naivety, that's why I'm here.
Good.
I refuse to give up hope.
That's really nice. And then all these, if we can work on the way you think this group has to go, I think, and we can collect that and spread that word, I think some good things will come out of it. Yes. Tina, oh no, for Dennis. Dennis, where is Dennis? Dennis, why are you here? You have to be asked that question.
Hi. Oh, I thought you were going to forget about me. Shucks. I am here because I have a personal stake as a Jew in this conflict. And I just am here as this being with other like-minded mediators to me is like my fuel to move forward. And I'm just not sure how to take the next step. So having these deep conversations and being able to use this as a model for what I hope what's to come, I do that, and I believe in our mediation and break down barriers. I feel like at this point I'm treading lightly and enjoying learning from, like I said, like-minded individuals that are peacekeeping at the heart of this matter.
But what you have to do, Denise, is that when you get to Israel, please get more people into the conversation, everyone around you. So that's how the circle grows.
Yes. You know, it's not discouraging, but the reality is that the relationship is so severed right now that even that starting point of talking seems like it's a leap of faith. But that's our work to do, is modeling that this is a tool that is effective, and this is the tool that we should employ right now. I was going to say in the chat to you that, just to respond to Ramsey, why, my opinion, why haven't we been able to address some of the legal issues and take at least the tenet that we could all agree on, is because our leaders like to keep their citizens in the dark, and they like to create confusion and fear, because then they could promote their outcome, which is often not in the best interest of the people. And I think we're seeing that right now with this war in Gaza. So the more we talk about what's happening, be it with emotion, be it with facts, be it with legal issues, the better off we're all going to be. We need to be better informed, and we can do that together.
Yes, but on my website, I had put out one of the objectives of the mediation circles. Let me put it out there. Let's just read it from here. I mean, there are lots of things that I said. One of them is, we'll redefine politics at the local, national, global level by moving from the colonial legacy of divide and rule to consensus building with mediators as leaders. So that can be something which can come out at the local level when conversations happen. Let those people come out. But everyone's given. No, Tina hasn't told us. Tina, why are you here?
Well, thank you. I'm here to learn from my colleagues across the globe. I'm holding space for peace. I'm optimistic still. This is a way to try to figure out how I can be a better peacemaker. In my smallness, I am humbled by everyone being willing to share their experiences. I also understand the importance of having safety, which is one of the things I think a lot of people aren't feeling safe right now. We've lost the benefit of the doubt, and people really aren't listening. I'm trying to be a better listener, taking empathic training, empathy training, to try to understand, and doing my piece, volunteering any way I can to engage dialogue. And I keep thinking we need to, before we can try to enter into any agreement, really start at trying to understand one another, not agree with one another, but just hear the other side perspective. And that requires some empathic listening, active listening, but it requires empathy. So this year, that's where I've been really focused, how to bring empathy into the conversation, into difficult conversations. And I'm here to hold space in the belief that peace is possible, because I feel that it is. How we go about it will make the difference. I was really curious about this legal framework discussion that Ramsey led us to, and the question that comes to mind is, why is it so difficult when you see something so horrible and horribly wrong ongoing, to everyone should be able to agree on the fact that we need to respect each other as human beings. And that should be like a common ground that we could start at, just being a human and understanding certain conditions as just a human.
That's not unique to this situation, Tina. Tina, that's the situation in the world, in everything, and a lot of things. So I think first we have to go down to that basic. In general, why don't we look at that perspective? So because this is not. This might be a reflection of what happens in everyone's lives on a daily basis, magnified millions of times maybe. But I think that but particular aspect needs to be looked into. The spiritual development of society in general having gone wrong somewhere. The concept of community itself, has that broken down? The colonial legacy of divide and rule, is that what is in some sense working here? Or maybe I say colonial legacy, maybe it's been something that's happened much before that also. So I think those things also need to be answered and discussed.
Humanity.
Yeah.
We start there.
And right at the, I'm saying local, right down to a personal level, onwards. And then that's why the idea of the mediation circles also was local, global, all working together, because I think a lot of things are a reflection of what's happening in society in general, all around us. And that is, of course, at the global level, is going to be the same. It's just people. So how people have been conditioned over these years, what's been happening. A lot of those discussions will also have to happen. So Ramsey is going to lead one thing on the legal part of it. That's going to happen. You're going to have one on the human part of it, humanistic aspect of it, all that. Where is it missing in society in general? Why should we only, let's not blame anyone. First thing is, we're not going to blame anyone. Whatever happens to them for some reason, we'll try to get into that. Why do people do what they do? We're not going to blame anyone. We have nothing against anyone. People kill. A lot of people kill people. Why are they doing it? Let's get to that. Rather than saying, pointing fingers and making judgment. We are not here to make judgment in any case. We're not here for that. So
no, I don't feel that it would be. I feel that we should not be pointing fingers. That's part of the problem. Everybody needs to pick a side, or feels like they need to pick a side. And I just feel like we need to focus on humanity, just being focused on seeing people as human beings, all people, and going from there. And that's what I'd like to think about. Also, peace work, I feel like sometimes people look at people who want to try to build peace as being kind of unrealistic and not strong as a peace builder. It's not looked at always as you're a realistic person, because things are so ugly sometimes.
Ram says you use the word naive. Sometimes people think you're naive, but no. I'm saying we have to stay naive. We have to stay naive at every point of time.
Well, I do think that's some of the resistance once you start talking about peace work sometimes, and people have been through so much in life that there's a resistance. Go ahead, Ramsey.
No, I'm waiting for you to finish. I'm just getting in queue, that's all.
No,
you carry on.
Okay. Thank you so much.
So I'd like to speak very briefly, again, responding to the question raised earlier. Okay, I don't know what that booming echo was just now. So about why, again, this issue has not been resolved sooner. And the way I tend to work, I often wonder if I might be slightly autistic. I tend to pick up patterns which people don't see until much later. But a pattern I've picked up is that two things. One, in the context of Israel-Palestine, and I'll come back to the naming or the terminology in a second. Please remind me, Vikram, if I forget. Is something that's been said recently a lot is, okay, when the war is over, this is what could be a solution. Indeed, Antony Blinken said this not that long ago in the US. And I was saying, my gut reaction was, are you being serious? You're going to wait until they've finished slaughtering each other before you actually start doing real work to achieve a solution to this? So my view is, first of all, sheer humanity cannot afford the luxury of waiting until the slaughtering has come to an end. And the second thing I've often noticed as a pattern, I've decided to make a distinction here, is quite rightly so and quite understandably, the discussion says, well, they did this and they broke that rule and that was a war crime and that was a crime against humanity and that was a massacre and that was a whatever, you know? We hear these words all the time, a lot of which have legal connotations. But that is, I don't say that. That wording is basically looking at seeking to hold accountable people or groups or parties or governments or states, hold them accountable for actions that have already taken place. And I think that is right and proper. But there is a right and proper way of doing it, which is, again, through legal channels, rather than through throwing stones, as it were. And I find that it can be a lot simpler and therefore healthier to separate the discussion into two separate discussions. One is how to resolve a conflict. What should the situation look like when it's stabilized, but not wait until it's stabilized before you work towards it. So you don't wait till you finish slaughtering each other. And that's really the point that I think we need to be exercised by. And the other part is pursuing accountability. And those two issues, I think, need to be kept separate. And I think pursuing accountability is rightfully done through legal channels. Whatever the outcome, I think that what South Africa is doing now with the ICJ is good in terms of upholding the principle of legal accountability. And I think that's what keeps us, again, out of the law of the jungle. So there are two things. Not wait until the day after before you start working for the day after, but work for the day after in the thick of the war from now, and separate the resolution of conflict from accountability. And I'll end here in my third of my list of two is a great book I have found as being a good analysis of the conflict and tactics or strategies used is The Iron Wall by Avi Schleim. That was a great education for me, I have to say. I'll end there. Thank you.
I think what we have to do is all the reading material also. I think, of course, Paula is going to, she's offered and said she will work on the document to put together. I'm saying that I'm putting words out there. Maybe Paula, did you not say that? I don't know. But you said you will in some way work towards putting something together. So Fatma and you please work with her also. We'll all give our contributions. So I think we should have one section on various reading material, which is the objective reading material. And one, of course, there's been lots of reading material in general, but where you people felt give the larger perspective. So let's put that together also. And then we'll circulate. I'm not circulating that document that I had put those links to, because these are just social media posts, links to that I put there. But I think after everyone goes through the things and then puts out categories as, okay, this is a point of view, these are the people should be brought in, then we'll maybe circulate that. I think we'll do that later. But yes, Orith.
Well, I really enjoy this conversation because each one of us is bringing a different point of view or a different perspective or a different, well, position from where we are looking at the issue, and it makes me think, and I think this is a good answer of why I'm here. You already made me think. I wanted to raise a few points that I thought about during this conversation. First of all, who we are in the conversation. Who are we? When I mediate a sexual harassment case, do I sit there as a professional or do I sit there as a woman mediator? When I mediate a group of Jewish parties and not Jewish parties, do I sit there as a Jewish mediator or as a professional? And in this conversation, what kind of voice do we bring? Do we bring our own soul perspective or history? Or can we try to focus on common grounds, which is what I would like to try to do myself? And that's how I think that we reach progress in the mediation room and in any discussion room. And the other point I wanted to raise is about challenges, new challenges that I spotted in the last few months. I think that I understand the boundaries of mediation. I always knew that there are boundaries to mediation, but I think that this is a discussion that can be made. And one of the boundaries is about neutrality. There are things that we don't want to be neutral about. There are things that we can say, this is right and this is wrong. And this is also in every mediation. We don't allow everything to get into the room. There are things that we say, well, this is something that we are not willing to tolerate as part of the mediation. And then we, as mediators, as professionals, we should say this is wrong. And maybe part of the conversation is about understanding or discussing what we don't want to allow into our world, or we want to agree that we don't want to accept certain activities as human. And this is a tricky conversation because we might have different perspectives, but still, if we want to be brave and if we want to achieve progress, this is a good, maybe, topic to focus on. And I think this is all the points I wanted to make. And I agree with Ramsey that time is of the essence. I agree that we don't have to wait another 50 years in order to start discussions. Having said that, as mediators, we are aware of the power of the process and that we don't want to rush into the solutions. It's the process that makes the best agreement. So as much as I would like to fantasize that I wish we could find something really, really quickly, I want to also be realistic and understand that we need to focus on a very good process in order to reach good solutions. And thank you, Ramsey. Now is a good time to start. I agree with that.
Yeah. Okay, but first thing, Orith, we've gone beyond neutrality. We've had our discussions of that. Neutrality is now, it's omnipartiality. Yesterday, we were discussing Ken's new book that's come out. And we've also discussed it in that symposium that I did on neutrality and mediation. We've gone towards omnipartiality. And in any case, I have no worry in relation to Orith. She might be sitting there as an Israeli, as a Jew, whatever, but she's still going to have an open mind, and she's not going to bring that aspect of herself. So that's, I don't think that's going to be a concern. But the other thing, I think, Paula, you put some messages there. So structure it the way you want to structure that document. I mean, the idea is to create something where each of those aspects can be brought out. So first of all, what are we reading out there in relation to social media? Can we put all that into one category or something like that? I don't know how it's going to happen, but please work something out so that we have something that everyone can add to. Yes, Paula? How are you going to structure it? That's up to you. But we put that one, just a document out there. I don't think that's going to work because a lot of links, I put out a lot of links into it. Who's going to convert them into sections onto what this covers? So I think some kind of topics, or who are the people, or what are the points of view, what are the layers that have to be brought in, or whatever word has to be used, but we need to create some structure there. Be it a Word document or an Excel sheet that can work out. Yes, Tina.
I'll come back. I'll pass because I see Ramsey's
Okay.
hand up, and I wanted to
Oh, okay, we'll get Ramsey in first. Okay.
opportunity. Thanks.
That's very kind of you, Tina. There's no need at all. The only reason I raised my hand is because I forgot, as indeed I feared I would forget, to mention the point of wording, which I was reminded of when Fatma spoke. And therefore, on the one hand, if I use wording, I need to use wording that if people do a Google search, they're going to find what I'm talking about without me having put it there. And so I tend to find that the phrasing Israeli-Palestinian conflict is the term that's most widely used on the internet. When I use that term, when I see the word Israeli, I mean the state of Israel. And Palestinian, I mean the residents of the land or the future state of Palestine. Okay, so that's what I personally mean by it. If I had complete carte blanche to come up with my own wording, I would say residents of the future state of Israel and the future state of Palestine. So talking about the people who are living in the area without any delimitation of where what line is drawn where or how. The reason, and I realize we haven't come to a concrete sort of discussion, I don't think it's appropriate for us to do so either, for us to impose a solution of one state or two state. But the reason I speak about it as if it is most likely to be a two-state solution is very briefly two reasons. One is that if ever before, certainly after the latest bout of bloodshed, it is even less likely to reasonably expect the residents of these lands to live in one state. It is, I wouldn't want to be a neighborhood policeman in a neighborhood where there were people who viewed people from the other side, as it were, as being responsible for the murder or killing or starvation, or whatever, of their own relatives. It would just be a recipe for disaster. I think in the future, if there is a one state, it makes sense for it to be reached by two sovereign states deciding to come together as one. But for the time being, I think just being realistic, there's just too much bad blood. That's why I use that terminology of the inhabitants, the people. The main thing again is a humanistic angle of just the people who live in the area, and therefore I talk about the inhabitants or residents of the area.
I think, Ramsey, what is happening is that the fact that you said the other side, who makes someone else the other side? Some people, for their vested interest, make other people the other side. So,
and that's why I use that term. That's exactly why I use that term.
So what I'm saying is that maybe the other side might not be the other side if the right people are out there to bring people together. So first of all, you have to find people who will bring people together, right at the local level, national, global, everything. So at the when people come together, they might not be the other side as we are looking at the other side. Someone has created someone else as the other side, and that's going to happen. That is what divide and rule is all about. That's the way politics is structured today. So that's going to go on. So what we're trying to do is go down to the grassroots level, create that space for conversations. Maybe people will look at each other differently. Maybe people can live together. Naivety, which is what I said. Let's be naive. Let's be optimistic. Let's be humanistic. And hopefully we feel that there will be people out there who have the same approach. Let's be whatever. There's no harm doing that. Because that's why I'm saying that's why talking about solutions or anything, It's just not right because of the fact that we are looking at it the way things are structured today. Those things have been structured today because it serves someone's purpose to structure it that way. And a lot of people, maybe not just one person, I mean, a lot of people are benefiting from these structures the way they're created. So we are saying we're breaking all that. We're not at all concerned with it because it's been created in a manner by people for a certain purpose. But on the other end, people come together and they can, maybe they can, everyone can just live together. Why not? We can always believe
I think,
that.
no,
We can
Vikram,
be
with respect,
unrealistic. We can be unrealistic.
I think the answer to why not, sadly, is the amount of blood spilt, at least in 7th of October. That is why not for the time being. And the other thing is that there are a lot of senses of security or safety or identity attached with a particular setup. So I think if we go down a route that seems to leave the door open for being misinterpreted, and I know I'm playing with words here, as potentially advocating for a one-state solution, then I think quite rightly, or understandably at least, too many people would say these guys are on the wrong planet. They haven't got a clue what they're talking about. I think just realistically honoring the pain and bloodshed and suffering, we need to recognize that, at least temporarily, it is most likely, not imposing a solution, but just recognizing the reality of it, the humanistic reality of it, that it is most likely that people will need to have the choice of living in a state that they call Palestine and a state they call Israel.
Okay, so because I won't go this route at all right now because this is
Okay.
too early in this whole conversation to get there. What I'm trying to put out there is please try and create these Israel-Palestine mediation circles wherever you can. Please ask people to do that. And there might be private discussions they might have, but let them, the same way what I said, just record it, put it out, and we'll create a larger document with maybe groups having these conversations, what came out from that, because we might not be able to bring everyone in, but at some local level, even two people sit together and have a conversation. That conversation might be useful for us. So let's just create that. Right now, the whole idea is that can we put this message out there that please create these circles and create a space for conversation. So that's what my first target is. That if we can do that, wherever it might be, and anywhere in the world, because everyone's concerned. I mean, if sitting in the US, Paula is here or Tina is here, it's because they're concerned. It's not everyone is concerned. It's not just now. This is not just an Israeli or a Jew or a Palestine or an Arab or a Muslim thing at all. The whole world is involved. If even one missile is shot and it costs $100,000, that $100,000 could have gone into something else. So even that poor person sitting on the street, the homeless person in the US, is concerned. Everyone is part of the whole thing. So let's put it out there. Please have these conversations, create these circles, and then whatever keeps coming out of it, it should be recorded somewhere, and everyone should be able to read that as to objective people having objective conversations and bringing out the humanistic part important, that real stories maybe will come out from it, everyone's experience. Something good might happen. Now, Frederic has put her camera on, so I'm expecting her to say something. Frederic, anything? No? Why are you here has been answered? Has that been answered by you?
Yes, I answered that. I was triggered by the fact that I saw mediators and you actually inviting mediators to talk about the conflict. And let's say, as a media consumer, I've been hiding a little from the latest news because, I didn't want to read it anymore, actually. But I do agree with, I don't remember who said it, that as a mediator, but maybe also as a news consumer, I cannot longer hide anymore. But especially as a mediator, although like I said before, I never had, maybe one, but I'm not a real mediator. Yeah, this sounds crazy, but I mean, I'm doing pre-mediation. So most of the time I talk with people who are not in a fight yet. So I'm not used to it, but I'm very interested in it, and I'm really, interested in all the things that are being said, also by Ramsey, and especially also naming the people in the future inhabitants of, and so on. So very interesting. So this is the whole reason why I'm here, because I'm curious, and I'm glad I met you all virtually.
Okay, and I'm telling you, you said I'm not a real mediator and
Yeah,
things like
of
that.
course I'm a real one, but
no, what I'm trying to say is who can be who. I mean, I've categorized people in relation to as being part of the circle. You can join the World Mediation Circle as a mediator if you have the mediator mindset. That's all that's required.
yeah, that's right.
And,
That's right. Okay,
well,
I'm a real mediator.
yes, that's all. So,
and actually, what I wrote down, but I didn't say yet, 2 years ago, I participated as a in pre-mediation in a program called 50/50, and those were startups consisting of Israeli and Palestinians who created a company, a starting company, a startup, especially to overcome all kinds of issues before this whole new conflict started, and that already was very difficult, but it worked for a while. So I have been in, let's say, in a way into mediation in that area as well, all virtually, all digitally. I've not been there, but I've talked to those people.
but now what has to happen is what is coming. Give me 1 minute to just put up what's coming up tomorrow, day after, and all. And then after that, I'm going to ask all of you to create. Okay, this is what we're doing today, but tomorrow, we have this celebration. So please drop in same Zoom link at 8:30.
Yeah.
So same Zoom link like today.
Same Zoom link. Right now, I'm keeping the same Zoom link going.
Fantastic.
So
and the same time as well, huh?
Same time.
Great.
Then we have the Greece Mediation Circle launch. And then we have this book that Sherry has written, Lessons from Lonzo. Peace Practices Inspired by Four-Legged Friend. And then we have the France Mediation Circle. So all of you have to create a mediation circle in your country. That has to happen. Then we launch that. Israel-Palestine Circle is another circle. That's another one that's separately being created, but a country-wise thing also has to be done. And I don't know whether you people have seen the other events of mine. I keep putting up this slideshow there. So this is the book that we did yesterday. So of course, all the recordings are there on the YouTube channel. So this, of course, you people should watch. And before that, what we did, the Ghana Mediation Circle. This is a local community where I live in Delhi. The Ecuador Mediation Circle. This book by Massimiliano, he's created a game for people to experience conflict resolution. So we launched that separately, an international Mediator Circle. So in this book, he's spoken about it, but the book is in Italian. Then, of course, we had this gathering, the Turkey Mediation Circle. We had that get together. Artificial intelligence mediation circles. Okay, are we using artificial intelligence to discuss the issue? Some thoughts will come out from there also. Who are the people who should be part of the Israel-Palestine mediation? So some thoughts, please take thoughts from there also. Be it ChatGPT, be it Google Bard, any other platform, because the long-term thing is to create a platform which is specifically for conflict resolution, which can happen maybe at some stage. This is some college in Delhi, Barbados. This, of course, then all these various circles. For any of these circles you have to be part of, you can all be part of that also. School, college, family, organizational, refugee, UN SDG, commercial, reflective practice circle, indigenous peoples, India, and of course the World Mediation Circle. So, Orith, when are we launching the Israel Mediation Circle? Give me the date. Give me the date. March. Any day in March.
Well, we'll discuss it privately.
No discussions left now. It's now dates. We need dates and launching. Fatma, Egypt Mediation Circle.
Yeah, I am currently in a transition phase. So depending on which direction I would go in, which I would learn by the end of the month, I would see if I can do it. But I won't promise something to you.
Which are the two
Sorry?
directions? Which are the two directions you can go?
Actually, 3 directions. One is, am I going back to a 9-to-5 job? Yes or no? First direction. Second direction is, if not, because I'm still not sure what my next step is, where do I want to be? 3, where do I want to be? What do I want to do? And how do I want to do it? So actually, I have very big questions, which I'm posting live, which isn't actually
no, but why?
Usually not what I do. I didn't actually know. I forgot for a second we were doing the live stream anyway.
Yeah,
so
I have forgotten that long time back. I don't even know this is going live. This
so
is my
anyway,
living. No, but Fatma, the mediation circle fits into all of them. The Egypt mediation circle will fit into all these things, that whichever direction you go to 9-to-5, the organizational thing will create there. But I'll fix the date. I think we'll do that. Because what I need someone to come in for that launch, someone I can talk to, because I can't talk to myself. This is my biggest issue that's my problem. Once I start speaking to myself, I'll be doing this is nothing in relation to the videos.
But let's discuss what we want to do with it, because I'll tell you something. In Egypt and in the region, generally speaking, we're so big on talking, which I absolutely hate, to be honest. So I usually not a very, I can talk, but most of the time I don't. So I don't like talking, and I am very action oriented if I am to talk. So I would need to discuss with you what are we going to do with it, because I've created so many platforms, so many things, exhausting, and I'm sorry, I'm just like being overly honest about it, but this is how I usually feel about like.
That's what everyone does when they're going live. They're very honest.
Yeah.
No, I think this is good. But what we are doing is, have you read about the World Mediation Circle on the website on mediatorvikram.com? I've put a basic idea of what it's all about. What you're doing is, you're actually just, as part of the larger Egypt mediation circle, what we are doing is we are creating mediation circles in every school, college, whatever organization, communities. We're just planting the seeds right now. Look, you will find people who will take those seeds and then grow them there. So it's
I'm going to be working with an orphanage. So would that count? So I can do it in that sense. So a mix of mediation and restorative justice. We're still figuring out the details, which again depend on my transition and next phases, but this is something that is in the works. So maybe that would be a good point, because it is action oriented.
And what Fatma we are talking about, everyone else is also going to do the same thing. In the mediation circle for that orphanage. But that's what it's all about. Every local.
Yeah. The skills. Yeah. How can you? Because I'll tell you something. Also, this is why I'm in a transition. Do I really still like mediation? Yes or no? I'm not sure. I prefer conflict coaching. So so much transitions. I don't want to commit to something unless I know I really can commit to it.
Okay. But what the idea here is that we're not going there to teach anyone anything. All we are going out there is, we are saying, is there anyone in your school or your college or your organization or your community who helps people resolve their disputes? That I've been telling people, just send that one question out and let's see what names come in. And then we'll create circles around those people, because no mediation circles if you don't have mediators. And we are not here to say that this is the way you have to do mediation. Those people are already out there. We just have to bring them out. So it's that process that I'm doing. This process that we will make you a mediator in 40 yards, those factories, there's enough of those factories and they've been there for a very long time. But at the end of the day, we are still discussing a very large conflict which is happening. So those factories, whether they work or not, we don't know. So artificial intelligence maybe can be a better mediator than creating them in factories. I think it has access to more information. But please, so we have to do that launch. So US also will do one, Belgium, Netherlands, all those mediation circles, and then spread the word out. Is that okay? Is that going to happen? Yes, Ramsey? Belgium mediation circle?
I live in Belgium, but that's not my main area of activity. Okay, so basically where I am able to be of value to this group, if it's of interest, is I'm a member of a Palestine-based mediation forum, which has many professional mediators who are members of it. And I can certainly introduce that to this group if you permit me, Vikram. And I'm sure there'll be a lot of interest and engagement.
Yeah, sure. Let's get that in. But that's from the Israel-Palestine perspective. But in general,
no, I'm talking about people based in Palestine for mediation in Palestine.
Yeah. But in each country also, that's a separate thing. That's a separate. But this is just one issue that I picked up. Yeah.
That's what I'm just saying. That even though I'm living in Belgium, I am going to be of more value in terms of drawing on interest in Palestine and potentially in Lebanon as well.
Perfect.
And maybe even Tunis and maybe even Egypt. Okay.
Perfect.
So for country-based mediation circles.
Great.
So that is something I can certainly introduce to this group, if you allow me to.
Absolutely.
While I have the microphone for a second, you mentioned World Mediation Circle. Is there a meeting of that, or is that just an umbrella of all the other mediation circles?
It's an umbrella. What I did was in December, there was one get-together that happened. So those get-togethers will happen of the larger circle, but then each of those circles will have their own get-togethers. Well, look, the format is there is a get-together, which is a totally informal thing. Then they have gatherings. So gatherings are a little more on the topic as such, what's happening. So we'll have all that. So everyone has to take that little first initiative of just putting the word out, and you people will not get enough time. I'll be the one who will maybe have to coordinate things with people. I'll do that, not a problem. But that one question, please just circulate it everywhere through all your WhatsApp groups, everywhere. Who are those people that you know of who help people resolve disputes? And right now, I'm not creating that distinction between the mediator and the peacemaker. But the distinction is there for me. One is the one who has the skill of assisting people to resolve. The other is the one for me is the person who brings them together. So both those skills are required. And I'm trying to create a model where everyone is able to create a maybe let's not call it a profession, but just an occupation of the peacemaker getting the mediator and the participants together and can charge fees for that. So it's not, I don't want people to do it for free. They create a livelihood out of it, but keep spreading the word so that we can create more circles.
In the different mediation circles that you put in your presentation a few moments ago, bless you.
Bless you. What do we say in Hebrew? If you had to say bless you.
I wanted to say bless you, but wow, my mind is not working. Labriut.
Labriut.
Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. So I just wanted to ask about the Turkey Mediation Circle. Is there another date for that at the moment or not?
Yeah, we have to fix a gathering for that. I mean, I was trying to for February. I don't want to do anything in terms of meetings. Just want to spread the word, and because there are lots of people who submitted that form, join the World Mediation Circle form. I have to get those people together and talk to them about the circle, and then creating the circles. So for me, February will basically be on that, and then after that, we'll start off in March of all these circles that have been created. We'll have those gatherings and put the word out. So we'll do that.
So if you permit me, I would like to be also involved in the Turkey Mediation Circle, if you don't mind.
Sure. Please.
Great. Thanks.
Yeah. Not an issue at all.
Great.
Yes. So anyone have you people taken some task on yourself? Paula and Fatma definitely have taken that task of creating some structure somewhere. Fatma, please, have you connected with Paula on LinkedIn?
We were connected on LinkedIn. Yeah, no problem.
Perfect. So please, let's put something formal, more formal than what I put out links going out in some way. So Frederick, how are you going to contribute to the Israel-Palestine Mediation Circle?
Wow. Yeah. Well, I don't know yet. This was an introduction for me to this whole idea. I didn't even know about this world. Was it domination? No, world mediation. And
have you gone to that website mediatorvikram.com? Have you gone there?
No.
Okay, so please go there. That's the starting
point.
First,
I have to look in all the latest activities you came up with. Sounds all very interesting. I will dive into that, and then I will think what I can do. At least I can get my Israeli-Dutch colleague interested in one of the circles, the Dutch one or the Israeli one, or you know. So yes, I will start thinking about it. I see him Friday, so I will talk about it to him.
And we
Yeah,
launched the
that's
circle.
what
Launched the Netherlands Mediation Circle in March. That's what we're going to do. But let me take you. Yeah, but let me take you through the website because you'll get a lot of information.
Oh,
Yes, it's mediatorvikram.com. If you go there, one, you will
yeah.
of course get to know what's coming up. But this is where you find something on the World Mediation Circle. This is on the
Okay.
mediation circles which have already been launched. So you'll find the link to the launch also. So you'll find that here. Although YouTube links are all here of all the circles being launched by whoever launched the circle. So Ken launched this, Michael Lang here. So you have the YouTube links here. Then if you go to this side, here is the events which are coming up or have happened in 2024. So all these events which have happened up till now are here. So you have the YouTube links to each of them. I'm telling everyone, search for you only. Everyone can go there. It's not that only Frederick can go. Everyone can go there. Please, the YouTube link, everyone can. Okay, so this link right now for YouTube here is not there, but all this will also come up. So each of those links are here. So you know what's coming up. So now you know this is coming up. The Zoom link remains the same right now. So you can join in any of these events which are coming up. So, right. That's how it is here.
Great.
So,
Yes.
whatever is going to come up will be mentioned here. With the circles, whatever, like the Israel-Palestine mediation circle, we've had all this which has already happened. So the YouTube links are also here. So you can go to the launch, watch this YouTube link, the YouTube video, all these others. Now this gathering also happened. The YouTube link will come here. So you have all that here, all the circles which have been launched, all the things. So just an understanding of what the circle was about, that will happen here, right? And then beyond that, if you go beyond that, one whole section on all the events that Ken has participated in, his words of wisdom. Now, if I don't know if they're 40 hours, 50 hours, how many hours of his own with Ken. So please watch that. It's really nice of him to give us his time. So this is available to everyone to watch. Then he's written this book, which you just saw, The Magic in Mediation. He's been nice enough to give a link to a discount. So if you go to that website, you'll find the link here. Here, click this link. You can get a 25% discount if you put the code Vikram. So that's here. On Ken's thing, this is all that's happened in 2023, 2022, 2021. There's a separate section for that. So all the links are there. There's a schedule on the World Mediators Conference. If you open that, the links to all the sessions are available there. So if you have 675 videos up there to find what you want to look for, because we've had lots of symposia, we've had World Mediators Conference also, lots of interesting topics have been discussed. So that part of it, you can, like you have, say, the 2023. So if you go here, we had the World Mediators Conference. I'll show you all the others are here. I mean, we discussed mediators in the war in Ukraine, women in mediation, all. But this is symposium number 8. So there's 7 other symposia there. So here in the World Mediators Conference, if you click the schedule, you'll actually find the names of the people who participated, the topics which were discussed. There were 70 plus topics, 80 plus panelists in that. So lots of interesting topics came in. So this is where you find information. That's why I want to put this out there. And Orith Orith, have you ever visited that website?
Well, I promise you to do that.
Oh my God. This is someone who participated in something 3 years back, has never gone to see what's happened. Orith, this is not done. Just not done. You're the one who's supposed to spread the word. Plus, please read the word. Please read the word.
I prefer being honest, and you made me curious now, so I'm going to visit.
Good. And please watch some of those. Main thing, let's spread the word. Let's bring people in and create those circles, because this college one that I'm talking about here, these children have taken that initiative. They've created the circle in their college. They're spreading the word. And my idea was that if they do this in their college, they'll take it to their communities and families. And that's how the whole thing grows. If people further take it up and create those circles within their communities and all that. So then the large connections that we need will happen. Yes. So everyone's got something to do. Everyone, Fatma and Paula are doing something. Ramsey, what would you want to do up till the
Well-
next gathering? And when do we do the next gathering?
Right. So what I offered to do is to introduce
Yeah.
this circle to the Forum of Mediators in Palestine, with whom I have direct contact. I can do that quite easily.
But
Um,
in that group, that have you identified people who have that very objective viewpoint and are not pushing an agenda or have only a
Yes.
limited, you've identified. So bring those people in. I think be a little selective. I would
Okay.
feel that let's be selective, because this conversation that we have has to be something which, of course, remains a conversation. We're not going to fight here. And
No, that wouldn't happen.
and
Yeah.
people with an open mind can come in. So I think let's
Mhm.
do it slowly. Let's keep adding people
Sure.
slowly when you know that, yes, this
Okay.
person is someone who would fit in relation to having a larger perspective.
Okay, I'll do that. Sure.
So when do you want to do the next gathering? Please, I mean, March is what we're going to do it. Should we keep it on a particular day in the month? So say,
I think that would make sense. Yeah.
what, say maybe what, the first Wednesday, you think? First Wednesday? Is Wednesday a good
Well,
day?
today's Tuesday, so Tuesday was good for us today.
Perfect.
So shall we say with a Tuesday?
Yeah, let's keep it on the first Tuesday of the month. Fatma is not happy with it. Fatma, you are not happy? Okay, you're okay. Okay, so same time, first Tuesday of the month, of
Yeah.
every month. Let's keep it there. Right? Zoom link remains the same, because Zoom link will only change if people who get the Zoom link are the ones whom we don't want here. Then we change the Zoom link. Or obviously, I still have the option of not letting people come in. So that's something I can do.
Actually, you raise an important point, Vikram, at least important for me. So I can see one of two ways to do this, and I'm asking for your advice. I'll do whatever you advise me to do. Okay. Either I could inform someone directly and I could give them the Zoom link,
Yep.
or I could ask them
to fill the form. Yeah, ask them to fill that form. You have the link to the form. Yeah,
the
best
form
is
for the World Mediation Circles now.
there's actually a form for the Israel-Palestine Mediation Circle which you filled in.
Really?
Also. Yeah, you filled in that form. You filled that form.
Okay, I'll look for it. Is there a separate form also for the Turkey Mediation Circle? I couldn't find it.
No, right now it's part of the World Mediation Circle.
Ah, okay, that's why. Sure. Yeah, I'll find the form for the Israel-Palestine Mediation Circle. I know I gave it to one person already.
Yeah.
So I'll just copy that link and give it to other people who I feel might be appropriate.
Yeah, so,
sure.
But yeah, so then whoever comes in we'll see after that whether we want to.
No, I understand.
Yeah, so we'll be a little selective there.
That's why I wanted to get your advice on that for sure. Yeah.
Perfect. So anything else? Anyone, Paula?
So it's Tuesday, 6th of February is our
March.
I mean, we're
not doing something in February. February, let's just put the message, spread the word.
Okay.
Let's spread the word. People fill the form. Let's send the information to them. And up till then, Paula and Fatma will, I'm sure, create something very nice for people to add to. But only the difference is that right now, that Word document, anyone can edit. But I think as we go along, let's just have one document where we add whatever we feel should be added there, and that can then be sent out to people to read. Right now, I'm not giving the link to this one anywhere because this is just between us.
Yeah, for sure.
Then we'll have a spread. Maybe I'm hoping that we'll have a spreadsheet, Fatma. We'll have a spreadsheet and links to reading material on one end and different points of view, the people or the groups that we need to send out a message to come to the gathering. So
I agree. Yeah. The more organized, the better it is. Yeah, and the simpler.
Yeah. Because Ramsey last time had mentioned one particular group that we should reach out to, then other people we reach out to, or it is going to reach out to some people. Let's get every perspective.
Yeah,
right?
And we can put a side heading there for reading materials, and we put all that stuff together.
Yeah.
And break it down. So the next day then is a Tuesday, 5 of March, right? Tuesday, 5 March.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good to know.
Well, I'll have to say goodbye. It was a pleasure. Thank you all. And just for the sake of technicalities, I think it will be easier or helpful if we know how long each conversation is scheduled for. because
Yes.
personally I am an hour late. I thought it's going to be an hour, so just for the next time, it
Look,
would be helpful.
or this has been now almost these videos have been out there for 3.5 years. In 3.5 years, also have never been able to put a time on these conversations. So what we'll do is, it is open-ended. Come in whenever you can. Just if you
Lovely.
have the time, just what you have to do. Just one click on the Zoom link. That's all you have to do.
Lovely.
If it's going on, it's going on. Anyways, out. Some of them will be out on YouTube, but now, like you said, or which I'd also earlier thought about, some of them will not be on YouTube.
Lovely.
But
If it's not regarded as dispolite to leave early,
no,
then
not at all. Anytime, come in whenever
lovely.
you want to. Or tomorrow also, that little celebration happens at 8:30. Come in whenever you can. If it's going on, very nice. If it's not going on, what's the worst that can happen? It wasn't going on. That's all. But just
Right.
never think about the fact that it is only going to be a 1 hour, so I won't log in after 1 hour. You know that the record of my events is right now 4.5 hours without a break. So that's been the longest, which was a conversation with
Okay.
Michelle in Conversation with the Beautiful Mind series in that. So time is never
Thank you
going to be
very
a factor.
much, Vikram, and all of you. I also,
Wow.
I'm leaving now, and it's very nice.
And please
Frederic,
I
what
would
is your
also-
family name?
Yeah.
De Jong.
Frederic.
My family name is De Jong.
What you do is, why don't you connect when you connect with Orit on LinkedIn? She wants to connect with you,
Orit
but she doesn't know.
Asnin. I'm going to look for you right now.
But
Orit
also look
Asnin.
for her on
You
YouTube.
know,
Orit.
Also look for her on YouTube. Write Mediator Vikram and write her name and watch those.
I found you. I found
lovely,
you.
thanks. And thank you all, and excuse me for having to leave, but it
No
was
issue
a
at all.
pleasure. Thank you.
Bye.
Actually, I will have to leave too. And if anyone can find me on LinkedIn, I'll be very happy. Fatma Ibrahim, it's the same.
That's
You'll
what
see my
look. The
picture.
one part of the work I do is
did.
called Mediator Vikram's matchmaking service. That's also part of one of my larger activity.
Thank you.
So
Okay, have a
please
lovely
connect.
night.
And Fatma and Paula, please coordinate with each other and let's
Sure.
create a good document by next time we meet. Right?
Perfect.
So
Okay.
let's not put any deadlines on this. I don't know what I'm dealing with
This
yet.
is up till we have time till March. We have time till March. So
Yeah,
we're all with you.
I just bought a house and I'm going to be moving, so I have to be realistic.
No, we're all with you. It's not like we put this on to you people, but it's just that someone like you with your structured approach, and Fatma also,
yes.
I think we can create something nice.
This is something I can do. I just have to be realistic about the timeline.
And you can see from whatever interaction that's happened that Ramsey is going to be very actively giving contribution to that. So please involve him also into what that structure, whatever gets created. Because I mean, he has that objective view on what the larger perspective. Of course, if the legal aspect on all that has to be brought in, we can bring in people for that aspect.
We have 3 people today, I think at least 2 others, if not 3 today, who are practicing lawyers or legal practitioners of some sort or other. So I think that together we can make things clear and helpful. Shouldn't be a problem.
Yeah.
Paula, do you mind if I reach? We're already in contact on LinkedIn, you and I. Do you mind if I reach out to you via LinkedIn for you to send me the connection for that LinkedIn group for mediating professionals in the Middle East or something along those lines?
I thought I sent you an invite. I thought you actually joined.
Oh, very possible. Very possible.
I think you did. I'll check, but
okay, sure.
Yeah, I think I got a message that you joined.
I'll double check. That's fantastic. Thanks a lot.
Okay. All right. Good.
Perfect.
Okay. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Carol.
See you then. Thank you.
And see you in the next couple of days with the same time, same place, eh, Vikram?
Yes, tomorrow.
Tomorrow,
yes.
Okay.
All right.
I look forward to it.
Bye.
Have a good 22 hours.
Thank you very much. Bye.
Ciao.